My son slapped me 20 times, right in front of his wife. My ears were still ringing, and he was laughing. The next morning, I opened escrow to sell the house he thought was his. I keep my hands steady. That's all I have. The kitchen clock clicked like a patient metronome. I rinsed the dust from a putty knife, set it beside the sink, and checked the tread I'd shimmed on Mrs. Klein's back steps. Level, bubble, dead center. Good. The morning sun bounced off the river and slid across my stove, warming the dent in the hammer that's lived above it longer than most of my neighbors have lived here. I tapped the head with my knuckle and felt the old calm settle. My calendar sat open on the counter. I circled Saturday 6:30 p.m. HOA barbecue with a firm line, not because I love potlucks, but because those gatherings are where rules turn into theater. I tore the circle into memory, grabbed my jacket, and stepped onto the porch. Mrs. Klein's place is 3 doors down. Her rocker announced me before I reached her. A little squeak on the push, another on the return. She held a dish towel like a surrendered flag. "You still make it look easy," she said, peering at the step. "Level's doing the heavy lifting," I said, laying my palm on the tread. "It'll hold." She squinted past me toward the mailbox cluster. "Saw Kelsey chatting out there a long while. Lot of smiling. The kind where folks look around first." "Friendly neighbors," I said. Mrs. Klein rocked once, twice, then stopped. "You ever notice how friendly gets louder when it isn't?" I let the air hang a second. "I notice," I said. "I write things down." She nodded at the hammer on my tool belt. "That thing's older than my knees." "Same warranty," I said. She laughed, but it was thin at the edges. My phone buzzed. Travis. My son keeps his texts like orders on a clipboard. "Travis, drop the folding chairs tonight. Don't block the curb again." Me. "You got it. We good?" "Follow the rules, Dad." I looked up. Mrs. Klein was reading my face like a weather map. "Family," she said softly. "Yep." I headed back, the rocker squeaking behind me like a clock I couldn't wind down. Inside, I laid my tools on the counter one by one, wiped them dry, and opened a fresh manila folder. I printed receipts, Whitaker, across the tab the way we used to mark joists, slow and true. Today's hardware slip went in first. The folder didn't weigh much yet, but paper has a way of growing muscles when you feed it. Another buzz. I let it ride. On the way to the door, I paused under the hammer. The head wore a flat scar from a job in 1998, the handle dark where sweat taught it my grip. I've outlived shouting. Paper lasts longer than echo. The hallway smelled faintly of coffee and old pine. Outside, the river caught a stiff breeze and chopped silver in the distance. The world was steady if I was. Back at Mrs. Klein's, I tested the tread again. Good. She hovered in the doorway, towel still twisting. "They're doing a big thing Saturday," she said. "You'll come?" "I'll be there," I said. "I bring chairs and quiet." "Bring the quiet," she said, half a smile. I loaded the folding chairs into the truck bed and strapped them with the same knot I taught Travis before he discovered engines were better for leaving than learning. The straps sang when I plucked it. Tight enough. I walked the tape from the hydrant to the curb as I'd done 100 times. 51 feet. I didn't take a picture. Not yet. The HOA cart rolled by, and the guard gave me a wave he learned from airline ramps. 2 fingers. No commitment. "See you Saturday, Mr. Whitaker," he called. The cart beeped a polite warning as it reversed and puttered off, the kind of sound that says, "We're watching," not "We're helping." I set a small notepad on the passenger seat. I wrote, "Barbecue Saturday, 6:30 p.m. Bring chairs. Park legal. No remarks." It wasn't a manifesto. It was a plan. Plans don't raise voices. On my way back up the steps, a breeze lifted the corner of the doormat with the faded W. I pressed it down with my boot and listened to the house breathe. Fridge hum, clock tick, the soft click when my phone decided I'd looked away long enough to dim. The quiet felt heavier than it should. I washed my hands, the water running gray then clear. A carpenter knows when to stop sanding. You can polish a surface until it's slippery with mistakes. I dried off, wiped the counter again, a habit, not a need, and checked the chair straps through the window one last time. The phone buzzed once more on the table. I was already walking toward it when I decided to test a new habit. Let things land before you pick them up. I stood an extra beat, letting the kitchen come back into focus. Grain of oak, tiny nick on the edge where a plate once slipped, the dark line of the hammer's shadow up the wall. Then I turned the phone over. The screen woke. A private message preview sat at the top, bright as a flare I didn't light. Kelsey's been posting about you again. I didn't open it. Wednesday evenings turn the common green into a stage. String lights blink on early, kids chalk ghosts on the walk, and someone always burns hot dogs just enough to smell like summer that's past its prime. I carried 2 folding chairs and set them near the clubhouse wall where the wind dies. From there you can watch the whole neighborhood without being the show. Kelsey was already working the crowd at the picnic tables, hair perfect, phone in hand like a microphone. She laughed with a neighbor, covered her mouth, and tilted her screen just enough for a second laugh to land in the next circle. I don't shout across grass. I logged into the neighborhood Facebook feed and let the scroll do what it does. Spin, catch, accuse. There it was, her post from 20 minutes ago. A tight shot of my truck near the curb captioned, "When retirement means rules don't apply." The comments did their usual calisthenics. "Mind your elders, but make them mind rules too. Isn't he the one who parks by the hydrant? Poor Travis, always cleaning up." I took a screenshot. Another. Then I opened the photo roll and tapped print to PDF. The phone hummed, a small machine doing a small job. I slid the copies into my receipts, Whitaker folder when I got home later. But for now, I just watched Kelsey watch her own ripple. Maya Patel, our HOA president, stepped out of the clubhouse with a stack of sign-up sheets. She's 30-something, no nonsense, wears a nameplate on a lanyard because she's tired of reminding people who asked for the job and who took it. She moved like a person who believes paperwork is a life jacket. Kelsey floated over. "Maya," she said, "quick question. Does the board have any policy about older residents relying on other people's driveways?" Maya didn't look at me. "Good. We have policies about blocking hydrants and mailboxes," she said. "We have a volunteer committee for complaints. We use forms, not whispers." Kelsey grinned at the word whispers like it was chocolate. "Just checking," she said, sing-song. I took 2 steps toward them. "If anything feels off," Maya said to me finally, "bring it to me with details." "Planning to," I said. Kelsey pivoted. "Oh, Earl, we weren't talking about you." "Of course not," I said. A neighbor in a Lions hoodie piped up to nobody in particular. "Facebook's buzzing. Guess who they're talking about?" Phones dinged like silverware hitting plates. I kept my screen low. Maya handed me a flyer. "Barbecue Saturday, same time. RSVP in the app." "Already circled it," I said. "Good," she said. "If you have something to show, show it. If not, enjoy the potato salad." Kelsey leaned closer to the neighbor with the hoodie. "It's just, some folks think rules retire when they do." She didn't drop my name. She didn't have to. "Rules keep us neighbors, not enemies," I said, loud enough for the table, quiet enough for myself. Kelsey tilted her head. "We agree on that, Earl." The smile stopped at her teeth. The HOA app pinged in my pocket. A sharp, official chirp that always arrives half a beat too late. I checked. Parking advisory. Update to curbside guidance. I tapped it. The screen flashed, spun, then dumped me back to the feed. The notice was gone. Maya saw the motion. "Don't chase glitches," she said, keeping her eyes on the sign-up sheets. "If there's an advisory, it'll be in the archive. If it isn't, it isn't." "Copy," I said. 2 teenagers balanced on the low brick ledge by the azaleas, doing the tightrope routine kids do when grown-ups pretend not to watch. The guard from the cart waved as he drifted by, nodding to Maya, not to me. The beep-beep of the cart's reverse bled under the chatter, a polite machine clearing its throat. I walked the edge of the green, letting faces pass. The man who always asks about the river level. The couple who moved here for quiet, who never speak above a whisper except when the subject is someone else. The air tasted like mustard and cool grass. My hands wanted a task, so I opened my phone again and took a clean photo of the bulletin board. HOA barbecue, Saturday, 6:30 p.m. Date clear, tax visible like little brass promises. Not evidence, context. Kelsey intercepted me with a cup of lemonade she didn't offer. "Let's not make scenes," she said softly, eyes still on her screen. "Then let's use facts," I said. She blinked, as if the word facts carried a draft. "We are." "Great," I said. "Bring them to Maya." A neighbor pretending to untangle a dog leash asked the empty air, "Isn't there a hydrant near his spot?" I pointed with my chin. 51 feet, I said. "But if you'd like it measured, we can measure it together." Kelsey swiveled to the neighbor. "See? Defensive." "Accurate," I said. Maya slid between us with the ease of a librarian restoring order without calling the principal. "If anyone wants to file a parking complaint," she said, "forms are online. Name, date, photo. No anonymous posts accepted." Then she walked on, leaving us to either grow up or shrink. I sat in the chair I'd placed by the wall. A breeze tugged at the corner of the HOA banner. Kids ran, shrieked, fell, got up. A dad told the same joke again and got the same mercy laugh. The river threw a second-hand glow over everything. Use facts, not volume. Use tools, not temper. Use time, not teeth. I thumbed my phone open and changed the lock screen to a photo from an old job site. My hammer resting on a squared frame, sun catching the head like a coin. A reminder, I'm not the loudest, I'm the one who measures. The feed hiccuped. A new comment stacked on the post under Kelsey's caption. "Poor Travis. Some men never grow up." The profile photo was a beach drink with a face. "Earl," Maya said from 10 feet away without looking at me, "if you have something you want considered, bring me the documents. Screenshots are fine, but give me context. I won't referee hearsay." "You got it," I said. Kelsey moved to the shade, phone angled so it could catch both her face and the crowd behind her. 3 neighbors leaned into the frame like extras who knew which side of the scene would survive the edit. "I'm not your villain," I said. She smiled. "Then don't audition." "That clip where you hold the camera," I said. "It has a wider shot somewhere. The wider shot usually knows more than the caption." Kelsey's voice stayed velvet. "We're all just trying to keep peace." "Peace has paperwork," I said. She lifted her drink in a toast that never reached me and walked back to the table. Kids started a race from the bench to the trash can, arguing about where exactly the starting line should be. I wanted to tell them, the start is where both of you agree to stand. But they got there without me. Most people do, until they don't. I took one last pass through the feed and screenshotted 2 comments for my folder later. No more than I needed, no less. The phone buzzed again. Not the soft nudge of an app, but the direct poke of a message that knows your name. "Travis, got something to show you at the barbecue." I let the words sit there above the keyboard, black on white, like a nail waiting at the edge of a board. You can hit it wrong and split everything you meant to hold together. Or you can line it up, breathe, and let the hammer fall once. Use facts, not volume. I locked the screen and looked up. The green was the same. The neighborhood was the same. Only the story had shifted. And stories, unlike steps, don't hold weight unless you frame them square. Twilight pulled a purple lid over the green, and the grills coughed as if they'd swallowed smoke wrong. I set my chairs near the clubhouse wall, out of the line of the picture-taking, but not so far that I couldn't hear the jokes. Plates clacked. Someone's Bluetooth speaker bowed under a 90s playlist. I kept my hands in my pockets so they wouldn't pick a fight my mouth wasn't planning to finish. Travis made his entrance like a trainer heading for a heavy bag, fast shoulders, smile for the crowd. Kelsey orbited him with the phone down, glass side up, a mirror that only reflects one way. He glanced at my truck at the curb and clapped once. "Curb's not your driveway, old man." Murmurs turned toward me and then away, like minnows. "Show me the hydrant line," I said, even. "You know the rules," he said. "Everybody does. You just like testing them." A neighbor in a Lions hoodie yelled from the grills, "You blocking the fire lane again, Earl?" Charcoal smoke rode the line and pushed it deeper. I didn't look over. "I'm where I'm permitted," I said. He laughed, big enough to share. A phone flash popped somewhere behind the potato salad. The security cart rolled up, bleating politely. The guard wore the same expression as always, half app, half apology, and pointed at the laminated binder on his lap. "We've had some messages," he said, which is how a person says nothing with documentation. "Messages aren't rules," I said. Travis waved an arm like a foreman. "Just ask him to move it. He knows. Hydrant's right there." I turned and measured the grass with my eyes the way carpenters measure. Habit first, tape second. "There isn't a hydrant within the line that matters," I said, "but let's use the paper you love." I pulled the CC&Rs from the HOA website on my phone and scrolled until the index spat out the section I wanted. I tilted the screen so the rule header sat clean at the top in one frame and took a photo. "Read the language," I told the guard. 50 feet from hydrant or mailbox. "Neither applies here," Travis cut across me. "He's always gaming it," he said to the cart, not to me. "He parks here to show me he can." "I park, you perform," I said. "Different trades." Kelsey drifted closer, camera down, thumb on the record square. "Why so defensive, Earl?" "Accurate isn't defensive," I said. The guard made a sound people make when they want to leave a room their body is still in. "Could you move the car, sir?" "Just to ease tensions." "That's not how rules work," I said. Travis stepped in, shrink-wrapping the space between us with his breath. "Follow the rules, Dad." "I am," I said. "You follow the part about reading them." He put a palm to my chest, not hard, just enough to count. The world narrowed to the size of his hand and the beat there. My back found the edge of a folding table. The plastic plates rattled like scolded teeth. Kelsey's phone tilted up just enough to catch faces, not hands. "Travis," I said low. "Move. The car." I stared at the center of his t-shirt where the cotton bunches when a man chooses force over sense. My hands didn't rise. The guard cleared his throat. That was the extent of his courage. A couple at the end of the table watched the way people watch a boat scrape a dock, expecting wood to give before water does. The neighbor in the hoodie, Harold, took a step like he might say something. Then his wife touched his elbow and he swallowed whatever his mouth had started to shape. "Show me the hydrant line," I said again. Travis's jaw worked. He looked past me to the cart. "Make him move," he told the guard. The guard shrugged around a page. "Could you just relocate for tonight?" I looked at the cart, then at the crowd, then at my son. "A rule that depends on who's watching isn't a rule," I said. "It's a dare." Kelsey's lens caught the edge of my face and the point of my finger at the CC&Rs on my screen. "He's agitated," she said softly to no one and everyone. I let the air empty out of me. "I'll move the truck 1 block," I said. "Not because you're right, because a quiet street serves everyone." Travis smiled like he'd won a raffle he'd printed himself. "Good call." "Don't confuse restraint with agreement," I said. I walked to the curb, started the engine, and rolled to the next block. In the mirror, I saw Kelsey turn the phone toward herself, mouth moving, eyebrows programmed. I killed the engine and sat until the belt chime gave up on saving me. Back on the green, I returned to my chair like a man returning to a cut he'd rather not reopen. A child's balloon thumped the clubhouse eave and went flat in a lazy sigh. Kelsey glided by the dessert table. "So reasonable," she chirped to the frosting, after he calmed down. "Facts have a way of quieting tempers," I said. She said. "Captions help too." "Captions lie for a living," I said. Travis lined up beer cans for the recycling like trophies. He didn't look at me. He looked at the attention he'd netted. "You always did think rules were there to bend," he said. "Rules are there to make neighbors into neighbors," I said, "not props." The guard retreated to the shadows where carts sleep. Music changed tracks. Bystanders switched sides in their heads. The air cooled enough to make plastic forks interesting. I put the CC&Rs away and took out nothing. My hands found each other and rested. My hands stay steady. My voice can wait for paper. Maya passed within 10 feet, eyes on a clipboard, not on me. That's fine. She wasn't the audience for this act. She's for the next one. "Enjoy the barbecue," Travis said, and patted my shoulder twice like you pat drywall to see if it's hollow. The second tap landed harder. I set my plate down before I spilled dignity with the beans. Kelsey's phone buzzed. She smiled a smile that doesn't mean joy. "Oh, look," she said. "Neighbors care." I stood, pushed the chair under the table like a man leaving a rented room clean. At the edge of the green, I stopped. My palm hovered over the hammer on my belt and didn't touch. In the dark reflection of the clubhouse door, I saw what the camera would cut. My hand lifted, my mouth set, my eyes angry with being misunderstood. 8 seconds can hold a lifetime if you choose the right edges. I pulled out my phone, opened the calendar, and set an appointment for Monday morning with Victor Sloan. I didn't need the screen to tell me the time. I knew what hour honesty keeps. When I stepped back into the light, phones were already blooming like night flowers. A notification slid across my own. Kelsey Whitaker posted a video. Started by him. 8 seconds. Comments began to stack like a fast deck. I didn't open it. Not yet. Monday at 9, Toledo wears coffee breath and shoe rubber. I pushed through the brass door of Sloan and McBride and found myself in a lobby that believed in quiet carpets. The elevator chimed, and 2 residents from my side of town slipped in behind me, voices tucked under their masks of politeness. "That's him," one whispered, "the driveway guy." "Thought I read it's about house paper," the other said. I faced the doors and watched our reflections blur into chrome. "Paper tends to outlast rumor," I said without turning. The doors spread with a rubber sigh. They didn't answer. They didn't have to. Victor had the look of a man who irons the corners of his day. Navy suit, square glasses, a desk that was less furniture and more operating table. He stood when I entered and nodded to the chair as if it belonged to me for the next hour, and to no one else. "Mr. Whitaker," he said. "Victor Sloan." "Earl," I said, sitting. "Thanks for making time." "Facts keep better when they're refrigerated," he said. "Let's get 'em cold." He set a thin folder between us. "I've reviewed the chain of title you sent, the deed and your conditional gift letter. Intent was clear. You maintained financial responsibility and retained control rights. Clean." I kept my voice flat. "Then we move without noise. We'll open escrow, route through a neutral, and keep the chain pristine. No heroics, no social media, just timestamps." He slid over a printed checklist with a header bold enough to speak across the desk. "Escrow, T-7. I rested my hammer on the folder to hold it steady, old habit meeting new doctrine. "You'll sign escrow instructions," Victor said, "and we'll cue a notary for Friday. We'll also anticipate the maneuver they're likely to try." "Which one?" I asked. "Forgery flavored," he said. "A quitclaim rattled off a desktop. We answer with a notary record search. Also, if they escalate with a bank dispute, we'll have the transaction ID ready and a clerk on standby." He opened a legal pad. "Tell me about the HOA barbecue." "Public sting," I said. "Security cart asked me to move without reading. My son enjoyed the audience. His wife enjoyed the camera." Victor's pencil clicked once. "Witness names?" "Harold Jensen on the sign-in sheet." His wife pulled him back. "2 others near the grill. Names to confirm. I've got a photo of the CC&Rs header on hydrants." "Good," he said. "Helpful, but the main artery is ownership and chain. The rest is anatomy." My phone buzzed on the table. A little vulture hopping for attention. The neighborhood feed had learned to peck. I flipped the phone face down. "Before we open the file," Victor said, "I need you level. If they try to bait you this week, you don't bite." "My hands are steady," I said. "My voice goes to paper." He looked at my hammer. "We'll use that instinct. Keep your tools. Let me use mine." The door opened a crack. The receptionist slid in 2 waters and slid back out. The room's temperature unchanged. Victor passed me an authorization sheet. "Sign here to let escrow communicate with me, and here to initiate. Today is T-7. Each morning we'll check a box. Friday, we notarize. Next week we record within the window the clerk gives us." I signed, slow and true. He nodded, made a copy for the file, and returned the original into the folder. "Questions?" he asked. "Only the same one," I said. "We do this clean?" He allowed a hint of a smile. "Clean enough to show strangers." My phone skittered again. I opened the HOA app in front of him and scrolled to a thread where Kelsey had written, "Older relative is confused about ownership. We're being patient." Replies stacked. "Poor Travis. Sad situation." I typed into the same public thread, "Earl, happy to review documents with the board. I'll bring dates, signatures, and a notary stamp when appropriate." A typing bubble appeared and vanished. Another line arrived from her, "Kelsey, no need to make a big deal. We're just trying to keep peace." I tapped back, "Earl, we'll let timestamps talk." Victor raised an eyebrow. "Measured," he said. "Peace has paperwork," I said. He slid across the escrow. T-7 checklist again, this time with 3 boxes already marked. Open file. Counsel authorized. Notary scheduled hold. "Take this with you," he said. "Put it where you can see it. Tomorrow morning we'll check T-6. You'll feel better watching ink keep time." I picked up the folder. The paper had a small weight to it, like a tool that doesn't look heavy until it's in your hand. Steady hands over loud mouths. We stood. He reached for a slim binder. "2 final notes. If the locksmith has a record of your failed key, get the invoice number in 1 line. Not today, after they jab. And avoid debating the hydrant at parties." "I'm retired from parties," I said. We shook. His grip was dry and exact. In the hallway, I hit the elevator and caught my reflection in the brushed steel. A man with a hammer in one hand and a folder in the other, both doing the same quiet job. The doors opened. The same 2 residents from earlier stood inside, still whispering the way people whisper when they've never built a thing worth quiet. I stepped in. Nobody spoke. On the street, a bus sighed at the curb. I crossed toward my truck, tucked the folder onto the passenger seat, and clicked the belt over it like a person. My phone pinged again. An alert I didn't ask for, a post I didn't need to read. Before I started the engine, I took the checklist back out and looked at the header one more time. Bold type is a kind of promise. Back home, I placed the folder on my kitchen table, set the hammer on it as a paperweight, and traced the T7 box with my finger. The house held its breath with me. The phone vibrated on cue. This time it was Victor, not the neighborhood. "Your file is live," he said. "Expect noise. They'll hit back by dinner." I slid the escrow T7 checklist into the receipts Whitaker folder and closed the tab with my thumb. Let them try dinner. I'd already eaten. The porch smelled like last night's rain and gym chalk. I fit my key into the deadbolt I'd bought 3 summers ago and turned. Metal resisted like a jaw. I tried again. The key shaved a bright crescent off itself and answered with a dry, stubborn no. I let my hand fall to my side. The hammer on my belt tugged the leather the way habits tug a man. Useless when the problem is a lock you can't lawfully open. I knocked. Curtains didn't move. Somewhere inside, a phone buzzed twice and stopped. I stepped back, lifted my own phone, and took a slow video of the key seated and the turn that went nowhere. "Attempted entry," I said for the record, flat as a level. "Key fails." The locksmith van rolled up with a quiet diesel rattle. The man who got out wore fatigue that looked permanent and introduced himself with a first name and a nod. "What do we have?" he asked. "Key used to work," I said. "Now it doesn't. I'm on the deed chain. I need you to observe, not open." He nodded. "Not my first rodeo." He knelt, looked at the hardware, and whistled without music. "Cylinders new. Maybe swapped last night. You want a record? That's why you're here." He watched me fit the key and fail again. "I can document this. No drill, no entry, just the facts." "Just the facts," I said. He snapped 2 photos of the faceplate and the blank refusal of my key to matter. He offered the knob back like a hand I couldn't shake. "Try it yourself once more for my notes." I turned the key. Same grind, same answer. Across the street, a stroller wheel clacked on a sidewalk crack. Harold Jensen slowed almost to a stop, then thought better of being a witness, and kept his eyes moving. His cane ticked a small metronome down the block. Behind the door, Kelsey's text arrived like a stage whisper. "Kelsey, please stop scaring us by coming uninvited." Me, "Locks don't erase a name on title." Kelsey, "This is harassment." Me, "This is documentation." The locksmith cleared his throat. You want the invoice, I assume? Make it clean. He wrote on a carbon pad with the neatness of a man who knows his handwriting can end up in a file. Time, address, nature of call, he said aloud as his pen moved. Observed. Client's key does not operate current cylinder. No services performed. My phone vibrated again. Group thread. HOA. Kelsey's post popped at the top of the chat. He's here again. Agitated. A ... blinked. Then, we feel unsafe. The usual chorus queued up. I breathed, counted to 5 the way you count studs in a blind wall. The locksmith held out the slip. I didn't take it yet. Can you tuck it under the knob for the camera? I asked. We'll want the moment visible. He nodded once. You got it. I stepped back into the frame of the porch cam I knew was there because you can feel lenses the way you feel weather. He slid the service slip under the knob so the top line showed like a tab in a file. I spoke to the air. Service call observed, I said. Key fails. No entry attempted. The door didn't blink. Doors never do. Want me to note the timestamp out loud? He asked. Just hold it where the camera can see, I said. I leaned in, read the single line I needed, and let the numbers pin themselves to memory without speaking them. 11:14 a.m. glowed clean on the paper. My phone shivered again. Kelsey, HOA chat. He's filming our door. Help? Neighbor, call security. Maya, HOA pres. If there's a concern, use the form. No anonymous alarms. I type slowly. Earl, locksmith present to document a change in lock. No entry requested. I'll bring the receipt to the board if needed. A beat. Then from Travis, not the group. Travis, you don't live here. Me, paper says otherwise. Travis, try this again and we'll get a restraining order. Me, try fax. The locksmith shifted his weight. Anything else you need from me? Your first name and a card, I said. He handed one over. I took a photo of the card and tucked it behind my license. And one sentence from you in your own words. He nodded, looked at the door like it might argue back, and said plainly, Client's key didn't work in the current lock. Thank you, I said. He tucked the invoice fully under the knob and stepped off the porch. You want me to leave the slip or put it in your hand? Leave it, I said. Let the house own its own paper. He smiled at that without warmth. You'd be surprised how often that line fits. I watched his van pull away. The house settled into the kind of quiet that pretends it can't hear you. I tried the key one last time, because sometimes you test a beam twice, even after you know it's bowed. The same scrape, the same refusal. Metal forgets who paid for wood, I said, more to myself than to the camera. My phone buzzed with a new ping, a photo in the HOA thread, my shoulder, my hand at the lock, the angle so tight my face looks like a stranger's bad day. Kelsey. See? He's agitated. I typed nothing back. I took a step to the side so the invoice stayed in frame. Then I held the phone low, captured 5 seconds of the slip under the knob and the stillness of a door that thinks it can rewrite a deed. A child's voice up the block called a dog that didn't care. The river wind moved a flag against its pole with a hollow clack. I pocketed the key. The hammer on my belt was a pendulum of muscle memory, swinging, doing nothing. A man can lose his house by inches, not deeds. My phone buzzed once more. Not the feed, not the group, but the single tone I'd set for Victor. Victor. Noted. Keep the slip. I'll log it. Expect noise. I looked at the door, then at the camera's dark glass. So this is the jab, I said, and stepped off the porch. The invoice hung there under the knob, timestamp clear as a bruise. The garage smelled like warm pine and old jobs. I cleared a strip of bench with my forearm and set down 3 shoeboxes full of paper that never learned to lie. Pastor Ray leaned his shoulder into the jam like a man who'd spent his life listening to lumber creak before it split. 30 years of you in there? He asked. 30 years of this house not falling down, I said. I flipped the lids. Utility bills, tax stubs, a roof repair from the summer hail, all in my name. I squared the edges with my palm until the stacks stood like little walls. Scan top 5, Pastor said. Rest, we tag and store. I fed the first page into the scanner. The light bar swept, steady as a level bubble. Pages slid to the output tray and tapped a quiet rhythm. Remember when you taught Travis to square a frame? Pastor asked. Taught him to listen before swinging, I said. Most boys learn the opposite. The memory was tight, like the old tool belt I keep for sentiment. Bare studs, sunlight through Tyvek, Travis all elbows and pride. He drove a nail at an angle that wanted to become tomorrow's problem. Slow, I told him then. Check the line, then strike. Now, I breathed and checked the line of the paper feeding across the glass. Still true? Pastor asked. Truer now, I said. I taught him level. Today I'll live it. The next receipt fed clean. I set the hammer on the bench beside the stacks, old muscle guarding new proof. Pastor opened his own folder, produced church letterhead. I wrote a line, he said, if you want it. In 30 years, Mr. Whitaker has been steady, factual, and slow to anger. I'll sign and date it. Square sentence, I said. Sign it. He did, pen scratching like a small saw through soft wood. From the street, a stroller wheel clicked through a crack, then silence. We kept at it, page, sweep, tap, until one stack stood shoulder-high to a coffee mug. Mrs. Klein tapped the open garage door with a knuckle. You got a minute? She whispered. Always, I said. She stepped in just far enough to keep the wind off her voice. Overheard at the gym. Trainer's beef with his dad is going viral. People love a treadmill story. They're running with it. Thanks, I said. Ask Maya how to file it right, she added. Screenshots don't stop mouths. Papers do. Pastor tipped 2 fingers from his brow. Evening, Ruth. She fluttered a small wave and slipped back out, shoes whispering over the concrete. Pastor waited for the air to settle. You going to swing back? He asked, voice easy like a man asking about the weather. I already chose the better tool, I said. Ink beats impulse. He smiled at that. Amen. We did a quick montage the way tradesmen do. I labeled folders by month. Pastor read headings aloud. I cross-checked names. He clipped the top sheet of each stack so the single dates showed. The scanner fanned the pages warm, like bread. I stepped to the pinboard and clipped up a card. T-5. Scan/witness list/notary appointment. The card hung straight without fuss. Let's get one clean top page shot for the file, Pastor said. I set the first stack on the bench, squared it again with the heel of my hand, and held my phone above it. The camera caught the letterhead, the address, and a single honest date on the top page, August 14th, and nothing else. One cue is enough when you plan to show strangers. Pastor slid his signed letter across. I'll keep a copy in the office safe, he said. You want me to stand and speak when the time comes? Yes, I said, short and true. I can do short. He tapped the stack with his knuckle. You've been doing true. We worked quieter then. The garage hummed the way a shop hums when the job is half done, and the finish line is a matter of patience. Outside, a car door thunked. Somewhere, a dog shook itself into a better day. My phone vibrated against a roll of blue tape. Voicemail. I let it land, then played it on speaker. Maya's voice. Earl, it's Maya. City inspector can look at the garage tomorrow. If you want him to see what's what, text me a window. I didn't call back. Not yet. I pinned her name under witness list and drew a box beside it. Pastor set his pen down and looked at me like a man who's seen both fights and reconciliations and can tell which one he's standing in. You sure you won't take a swing? I'm sure, I said. Paper has longer arms. He laughed once, soft. Then I'll see you when the clock says so. He left with his letter copy and the steady pace of a man unafraid of silence. I checked the bench, stack square, hammer at rest, T-5 card waiting to become T-4. The house felt level. I taught him level. Today I'll live it. I killed the shop light and let the receipts keep their own glow. Victor's conference room had the quiet of a library, where the books sue each other. The notary placed her journal on a felt pad and clicked her pen like a metronome for honesty. State your name for the record, she said. Earl Whitaker, I answered. She checked my license, found the same face in both places, and slid the escrow instructions across. Paper that mattered landed with a flat, satisfying hush. Victor stood at the end of the table, hands behind his back like a coach before a whistle. We'll sign in sequence, he said. No rush. Then the seal I signed where the flags told me to sign. The notary logged, date, line, page. Her stamp hovered above the final block like a small moon about to make a tide. My phone buzzed on the table. Inbox, escrow timeline, T-4. One look at the subject line was enough. The clock had moved. Let voicemail prove itself, Victor murmured, eyes never leaving the page. The notary pressed the seal. The desk took the sound and gave it back, a crisp echo that landed in my ribs. She lifted the page and angled it so the impression caught the light. Clean circle, clean date, clean name. Ink beats impulse, I said under my breath. She leaned closer, kept her voice level. I've seen forged junk before, she said. This isn't that. This reads clean. Thank you, I said. Victor nodded to the next sheet. Initial here to authorize wire instructions to the neutral, he said, and here for recorder communications. I initialed. The pen scratched like a saw in soft pine, steady, no binding. My phone lit again. Travis. I let it ring once, twice, and then I picked up. What are you doing? He said, voice already in fourth gear. People are calling me. You think you can sell my house out from under me? Read your messages, I said. Better, read the documents. You're going to regret this, he said. I'll get paperwork. I'll get a TRO. I'll check the stamp, I said, and hung up. Victor's eyebrow ticked. That the expected thunder? Bright and early, I said. The notary slid the stamped page back to the center. Do you want a copy for your folder? She asked. Yes, I said. She flattened it on the glass, hit the copy button, and the machine exhaled a warm, papery breath. She handed the copy across with 2 fingers, the way surgeons hand scalpels, handle first, no drama. I placed the copy in my receipts, Whitaker folder, and set a key on top of the escrow packet without thinking. An old house key, the one that used to work, clean of scratches. It looked out of place on paper, like a relic that had just learned it had a new job. Victor watched it land. That's about right, he said. We reviewed the checklist. Neutral engaged. Notary complete. Recorder window requested. T-4 confirmed by email. He circled Friday on his printed calendar and drew a short arrow to next week. Recorder will give us a slot, he said. We'll live in that window. Good, I said. He gathered the originals into a slim armored folder and tapped it square on the table. Remember the rhythm, he said. You get a gain, he swings a jab. Don't answer jabs with jabs. Answer with receipts. I've got a stack, I said. He almost smiled. I know. We walked out to reception. The notary packed her stamp like a musician putting away an instrument. The receptionist slid a sign-out sheet across. I wrote my name smaller than usual. Some days you don't need letters to shout. As I reached for the door, the notary leaned in 1 inch. If you see a miracle quitclaim show up, she said, ask your counsel to pull the notary record search. If there isn't one, there wasn't a deed. Appreciate it, I said. Outside, the wind had a bite it hadn't had yesterday. I pocketed the T4 printout, felt the outline of the key through the folder, and let the day balance itself. The phone buzzed again. Kelsey this time. Kelsey. People are upset. You could have talked to us. Me. I tried. Paper listens. Kelsey. You're embarrassing, Travis. Me. He's doing that on his own. Kelsey. We have our own paperwork. Me. Then bring it where stamps live. I slid the phone face down and watched a bus sigh at the light. My chest was a room with a closed door and a chair against it. Feel steadier? Victor asked, stopping beside me. Feels like a level finally settled, I said. Good. Keep it that way. I drove home without radio, the car quiet enough to hear the folders shift when I turned. On my kitchen table, I laid the escrow packet down and put the key on it again. Deliberate this time. The hammer stayed on its hook. You don't swing when ink is still drying. I sat, opened the laptop, and checked the HOA feed because some panes you measure as you set the brace. Threads were multiplying. Someone had posted a blurry image of an assignment form with a date that didn't belong to any calendar I respect. Underneath, a new comment blinked into existence, tagged to Maya's earlier note about procedure. Neighbor, to Maya. Counterfeit paperwork is its own violation? I didn't type. I let the question hang there, bright and unanswered. Victor's blinds cut the afternoon into clean stripes. He slid his laptop between us and opened his inbox like a man opening a valve. Recorder confirmed our request, he said. We'll get a morning slot. My phone buzzed in tandem. Email. Recorder appointment, T-3. One subject line, 1 o'clock. I didn't need to open it to feel time move. Good, I said. They're moving too. How so? Victor asked. I put my own phone face down and let the room breathe once before answering. Whispers about a deed that doesn't exist. Screenshots with edges too clean. Kelsey loves a caption. As if cued, a text slid across the glass from Maya. Saw a screenshot of a deed in the group. Does it even exist? I read it, didn't reply, and let it glow out. Expected, Victor said. He opened a blank note titled Counters and typed 3 bullets with surgeon economy. Bluff 1, miracle quitclaim. Answer, process. Bluff 2, TRO threats. Answer, your conduct file. Bluff 3, reputation smoke. Answer, witnesses. He pivoted the laptop. Here's what we will do now. Request a notary record lookup on any claimed quitclaim and log that we requested it. We won't argue screenshots. Stamps don't lie, I said. He nodded. And indexes don't flatter. The phone on the corner of his desk rang twice. The receptionist picked up in the outer office, voice a professional hush. Somewhere, a printer sighed a warm sheet onto a tray. Before we submit, Victor said, remind me what you've already captured. CC&Rs header, keys fail with invoice under the knob, stack of receipts with a clean date, pastor's letter, I said. Maya's got a slot on the form if it comes to it. Harold saw enough to look away. Good, he said. We'll keep the rest in our pocket until it matters. No paper parade. My phone lit with Travis. I let it run 2 rings, then answered. What is this I'm hearing? He said. You're telling people you own my place? I've got paperwork. Bring a real notary next time, I said, and hung up. Victor allowed himself half a smile. Short is best. Short holds shape, I said. He turned the laptop back. Let's give the bluff a place to die. A few keystrokes, a portal window, a calm stretch of silence as legal software did the one thing it was built to do, refuse nonsense. Request submitted, he said. We'll get an acknowledgement, and in due course, a yes, no. In the meantime, we act like adults. Adults use calendars, I said, tapping the folder where the key rested. I tapped the metal once, a small gavel, and felt more steady than loud. We walked the next steps. T-3 today, T-2 tomorrow, bank ready to fund. Locksmith affidavit to remain a spoken line, not a brandished sheet. I want your side to stay human, he said. Let theirs be the one that looks like a machine churning panic. Easy enough, I said. I've worked around loud machines my whole life. The door cracked, and the receptionist slid a note across the desk blotter. Victor read, then handed it to me. Caller says they'll file a TRO if you harass tonight. No name. We don't let anonymous papers steer us, Victor said. If something real is filed, we'll see a docket number. Until then, live your life normally and answer nothing in anger. Their lies are loud. The record will be louder. Anything else you want me to do between now and T-2? I asked. Eat, he said. Sleep. And when they post, let silence speak until it's time for the recorder. I stood. He walked me to the door. You'll feel the urge to correct people, he said. Resist it. Corrections are better with witnesses. Witnesses are coming, I said. In the hall, the blinds made the same honest stripes they made on the way in. My phone buzzed again. Maya, patient as a school teacher. If you need the forum, it's Thursday at 7. Use it or don't, but stop letting the feed drag you. Copy, I typed, and hit send. On the drive home, the river threw silver up at the sky, and the sky threw it back. I pictured the porch where the invoice still hung in my memory like a tab waiting to be pulled. I pictured the desk where a stamp had changed a day into a direction. At my kitchen table, I laid the folder down and set the key on it again. The hammer stayed on its hook. The room held still. Victor's name popped at the top of my screen with a fresh email. Subject line only. I didn't open it. Notary search submitted. Awaiting index reply. I left it there, glowing. I set the key on a saucer so it wouldn't skate. Coffee steamed around it like a small weather system. On the laptop, the recorder portal sat open with a blue ribbon at the top. T-3. No numbers, no promises, just a banner that said the clock was real. Victor called at 10:28. Ready? Been ready since Saturday, I said. Good. Stay on the line with your bank, then with me. We want your ears, not your temper. I dialed the bank. The hold music tried to sell me a vacation. A rep came on with a voice trained to keep people from kicking furniture. Mr. Whitaker, I can confirm we're pushing the scheduled escrow wire now. Tell me when it posts, I said. A pause. The rep's typing made a distant rain. And posted. You should see a wire confirmation email in your inbox. My phone chimed against the saucer. I opened the mail app just enough to show the header. Wire confirmation, 10:31 a.m. And the first line with trans ID spelled like a gate you don't need to pass through on camera. That's sufficient, I said. Anything else today, Mr. Whitaker? Not a thing, I said, and hung up. Victor still on the other line. Do not forward that. Do not post it. We let escrow and the recorder have their conversation. You and I keep ours short. Short holds shape, I said, tapping the key once with my fingertip. A single, quiet gavel. My phone buzzed again. Kelsey. Kelsey, you can't steal money and call it escrow. Me. Funds are in a neutral account for a recorded transfer. Kelsey. We'll freeze it. Me. Lies don't clear, funds do. 3 dots pulsed, then stopped. The portal's T-3 banner didn't blink. Another buzz. A push alert from the neighborhood group. Anyone know if banks can reverse shady wires? The phone rattled the saucer like a nervous tooth. I texted Victor a screenshot of the alert caption only. No names, no thread. Me. Ignore? Victor. Ignore. Let rumors chase their tails. We'll have the clerk by week's end. Money is quiet until it speaks in dates, I said to the room. The house agreed by saying nothing. I took a breath, set the phone face down, and walked the length of the counter because motion is how some men keep from talking. The calendar on the fridge still wore the circle I'd drawn for a barbecue that turned into a stage. I thought about how many people prefer captions to records. Records don't flatter, they just live. The phone lit again with a new text. Neighbor, Lions hoodie. Saw a post about you, moving money. That true? I typed, I don't discuss money in texts, then added, we'll let the recorder talk. He replied with a thumbs up he didn't earn. I sat. The key on the saucer glinted like it remembered how to belong. I lifted it and felt the weight of something that had been demoted from metal to symbol. It felt fine being a symbol. Victor pinged me. Recorder confirms T-3 window holds. I left the portal open on the screen, blue ribbon steady, and didn't click anything else. The recorder portal sat open on my laptop. T2 glowed in a calm blue ribbon. I set the key beside the trackpad and watched it catch a square of evening light. The phone buzzed. Victor. Ready for dessert? He said. Only if it's plain, I said. He shared his screen. A county search window opened with the politeness of a clerk. He typed, waited, then turned the laptop so I could see from my chair. The result line at the top was a sentence I could have carved in oak. No results found in notary index. We let the silence do what victory speeches ruin. Short holds shape, Victor said. No stamp, no deed, I answered. He nodded. We'll memorialize the search in my log. You do nothing on the feed. If they wave a screenshot, We waive a process. The key clicked against the wood as my knuckle tapped it once. The sound was small and complete. Anything else? I asked. Expect a reputational jab, he said. When facts dry up, stories get wetter. If the insurer pings you about a review, forward it. Don't flinch. Understood. We ended the call. I reached up and touched the hammer on its hook, then tapped it once on the table, craft acknowledging proof. Outside, twilight braided the walkways. I stepped onto the HOA path. Gravel answered under my boots. Maya was 10 paces ahead, talking to two neighbors who lived on smiles. Folks, she said evenly, we accept documents, not screenshots. If anyone has real papers, the board will look. If not, enjoy your evening. One neighbor pocketed their phone like it had just misbehaved. The other nodded at nothing. Maya met my eyes for half a second and kept walking. That was enough. Lion's hoodie fell in step for a few yards. Heard you forged something too, he said, testing me like a fence board. Index says none, I said. If you want to see what real looks like, ask Maya for the process. He chewed that, then, guess we'll see. He peeled off toward the mailboxes, already deciding to believe the next person he talked to. Back home, the T2 ribbon hadn't moved and didn't need to. My phone blinked. Kelsey, we have signed papers. Me. Notary index shows none. Kelsey, you wouldn't know real if it bit you. Me. Real doesn't bite, it files. 3 dots pulsed, then vanished. My hand stayed on the table's edge, steady as a vice. I imagined the notary's stamp pressing a circle into soft fibers and leaving logic behind, the way a joist hanger leaves a mark you can trust. Truth doesn't shout, it shows its stamp, or its absence. A banner rope tapped the metal pole outside the clubhouse, a little metronome for people who prefer rhythm to reason. I let the sound count out 10 beats and then stood. I typed one more line to Kelsey and left it there. Me. Bring whatever you believe you have to the board. The typing bubble appeared, stuttered, vanished. I didn't send anything else. I didn't need to. The key rode my pocket like a reminder to wait my turn. I stood at the curb while Maya led the city inspector up the driveway. Clipboard, orange vest, cadence of someone who's seen the same mistake 100 times and never raised his voice about it. Afternoon, the inspector said to no one in particular. Garage is being used as... He let the sentence leave itself open. Personal training, Travis said. Private, not commercial. Hours? The inspector asked. Flexible, Kelsey said from behind her phone. Permits? He asked, same tone. Don't need one for staying in shape, Travis said, grin set like he'd rehearsed it. Maya kept her voice level. The CC&Rs limit after-hours noise and client traffic. Our logs show complaints. We're here to align facts. Let's look. The inspector stepped in. I stayed at the threshold and said nothing. Inside, rubber mats met bare studs. String lights sagged between outlets like Christmas had given up. A portable heater hummed from an extension cord, daisy-chained to a power strip. Permits on electrical? The inspector asked, pen ready. It's just lights, Travis said. You're making this big. The inspector crouched, traced the cord with his eyes, looked for a sticker that wasn't there. He straightened. A client brushed past a kettlebell and nudged the strip with his shoe. Pop! The lights blinked, the heater coughed, and the air caught the faint smell of warm plastic. That goes in my notes, the inspector said, not smiling. Kelsey lifted her phone higher. He's filming us again, she said, panning past me like a weather report. Maya didn't look at her. The board will log whatever the city logs, she said. We're not improvising. Travis pivoted toward me. You can leave, he said. This isn't your business. It's the inspector's, I said. Talk to him. Don't hide behind strangers, he snapped. I'm standing behind process, I said. He took a step. The inspector didn't. Any deck modifications in back? He asked. Minor DIY, Travis said. We'll need to see it, the inspector replied, patient as rain. We walked the side path. The deck clung to the siding with the wrong bolts. I could tell from 20 feet. So could the inspector. Insurance carrier aware? He asked. Kelsey cut in. We haven't had time. He's been harassing. Maya kept her eyes on the joist. Dates, please, she said. Names if you're alleging harassment. Don't allege me, Kelsey said, but it came out thinner than she liked. The inspector took 2 reference photos. No numbers, no showmanship. You'll receive a notice, he said to Travis. You'll have a chance to correct. Failure may affect policy. Lawyers, Travis said. We'll get lawyers. Noise isn't a permit, I said before I could stop myself. Kelsey swung the phone back to catch my face. There, she said. Threats. Maya stepped between the camera and me with the efficiency of a librarian closing a book. Process, she said. If you have paperwork, file it. The inspector finished his walk like he'd finished 1,000. Unpermitted electrical, he said, checking a line. After hours use. Possible structural concern at deck. You'll get specifics in writing. I'm done here. Great, Travis said, jaw set. This is ridiculous. The inspector didn't argue ridiculous. He tucked his pen away and looked at me once, neutral. Then he left. Maya lingered. I'll note the city visit in our system, she said. Any board communication will be by email, not chat. Understood, I said. Don't engage in the thread tonight, she added. I won't, I said. Travis pointed at the curb. Get off my property. I nodded at the line where sidewalk becomes driveway. Already am. Dad, he said low and hot. You think this makes you smart? I think it makes me safe, I said. Kelsey lowered the phone a fraction. You love paperwork more than you love your son. I love not burying him because a heater kissed a curtain, I said. Her mouth opened, closed. She filmed the sky instead of me. I left them to their performance and walked back to the curb. The key stayed in my pocket. I didn't touch it. Behind me, the garage swallowed its own echo. At home, I set the key on the counter by the hammer and didn't pick up either. The laptop still wore the recorder tab like a badge. T-1, pending. The house felt like a chest drawn halfway through a breath. If truth costs me a premium, I'll still pay it. The phone blinked a preview at the top of the screen. Policy review notice. Action required in 72 hours. I let it sit there, unopened, glowing like a fuse someone else lit. The clubhouse smelled like coffee and floor wax. Folding chairs lined up like witnesses who promised not to interrupt. I took a front row seat, set a single page of notes on my knees and placed the key on top so it wouldn't slide. Maya stepped to the lectern. The mic squealed. The banner rope tapped the pole outside. Tap, tap, like a clock insisting on order. Good evening, she said, voice steady. This is a forum, not a trial. 3 minutes per speaker. Documents outweigh screenshots. We'll keep it civil. Kelsey hovered in the aisle with her camera up. Travis stood behind her, arms crossed, chin out, a pose built for mirrors. Maya scanned the sign-up sheet. First speaker, Mr. Earl Whitaker. I stood, carried my page to the lectern, and set it down with the key still on top. I didn't touch the mic. I'll be brief. I won't argue captions. I'll point to process. When I was asked to move my truck, I moved it. When locks changed, I documented it with a locksmith present. When a deed rumor appeared, my counsel requested the notary index. No record. We opened escrow through a neutral. Screenshots aren't stamps. If someone has real paper, file it. Rules make neighbors possible. If the board needs documents, I'll submit them through proper channels. Otherwise, let's stop bleeding rumors into each other's dinners. Kelsey's phone tilted for a better angle. Travis's mouth twitched like he wanted to interrupt the weather. Maya raised a hand without looking at them. I continued. I'm not here to convict anyone. I'm here to keep peace with paperwork. If the board needs documents, I'll provide them through proper channels. If the city needs corrections, I hope they're made so no one gets hurt. That's all. Travis barked a laugh. Tell them how you stole. Maya tapped the gavel once. Sir, you're not recognized. 3 minutes belong to the speaker. I kept my eyes on the page and the key on it. A last note, I said. Screenshots aren't stamps. If someone has real papers, bring them to the board. Otherwise, let's stop bleeding rumors into each other's dinners. A neighbor in the second row, Mrs. Klein, nodded, small and firm. Lion's hoodie stared at his shoes. Another neighbor lowered her phone like it suddenly weighed something. Kelsey called from the aisle. "We have signed papers." "Then file them," Maya said, still calm. "With a notary." Through the board, Travis took a step forward. Maya tapped the gavel again. "Time and decorum. Mr. Whitaker, you have 30 seconds. I looked at the room, not the lens. I taught my son to check level before he swung a hammer. Tonight, I'm checking level. Thank you. I tapped the lectern with 2 fingers, just once, an echo of the hammer I didn't need, and stepped back. My heart beat slow enough to count. I let the room hold my words, not my temper. Maya nodded. "Thank you. Next speaker." A murmur moved through the chairs like wind in grass, not like fire. A neighbor whispered to another, "So it's about documents." And the other said, "Always was." Travis tried one more time from the back. "He's lying." 3 minutes up, Maya said, clean as a cut. "We're moving on." I sat. The key rested on my page, a small weight doing a quiet job. My phone, face down on my thigh, buzzed once. I turned it over, only far enough to catch the header before the lock screen dimmed. Recorder, appointment, D-1, 11:30 a.m. I didn't open it. D-1 tasted like metal. I walked the HOA path at 9:30 with my hands empty and the key closed in my fist so I wouldn't use it. Maya waited at the sidewalk line, clipboard tucked to her ribs like a shield that doesn't brag. "We'll keep it brief," she said. "You read one sentence. If they refuse, I witness refusal. No debate." "Understood," I said. Kelsey cracked the door before we reached it, camera already up. Travis loomed behind her, arms crossed the way men cross them when there's a crowd. "Please accept notice that I'm available tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. during the recorder's window with a civil standby," I said, reading the single sentence I'd printed. "No entry today." "Harassment," Kelsey said to the lens. "He's here again." Maya stepped into frame, voice even. "This is a witness delivery attempt. You may decline. I'll log the refusal." Travis jabbed a finger toward the sidewalk. "Get off my property." "I'm on the public walk," I said. "Talk to Maya." Kelsey lifted her chin. "We have signed papers." "File them with a notary," Maya said, through the board. Kelsey let the door swing until the screen caught. "We're done." She didn't take the paper. The spring squeaked and the latch rattled like a cheap verdict. Maya marked one line. "Refused," she said, not unkind. "You're covered." A neighbor coughed behind a hedge. Another angled a phone. I kept my eyes on the concrete seam where public becomes private. "Anything else for the record?" Maya asked. "No," I said. "Thank you." We stepped back. My phone buzzed a cluster, alerts pecking like birds. The HOA feed showed Kelsey's new post, a clipped slice of last night's forum where my 2-finger tap looked like a fist. Caption, "Threats continue." Comments popped. "Restrain him. Poor Travis." I closed the app. "Screens make noise. Records make decisions," I said, mostly to remind my breathing. Maya nodded. "Stay off the thread," she said. "Let time work." We split at the path. I walked home slowly enough for the heat to leak out of my shoulders. The river pushed wind down the street. A flag clacked against its pole like an impatient metronome. In my kitchen, the laptop still wore the recorder tab like a badge. D-1, 11:30 a.m. Steady as a clock that doesn't care about feelings. I set the key beside the hammer and let both sit. The phone rang with a sterile voice. "This is an automated notice regarding a verification hold on a recent transfer. If you believe this is in error." I ended the call and rang Victor. "Got a robot about a verification hold," I said. "Expected friction," he said. "Logged on my end. Do nothing. Funding is at neutral. Recorder slot controls reality. If an actual hold ticket appears, it will have a docket. We haven't seen one." "Copy," I said. "Earl," he added, "they want you to panic." "I'm busy," I said, and hung up. The phone buzzed again. A new email preview slid across the top of the screen like a slow blade. Policy review notice. Action required in 72 hours. The insurer had decided today was a good day to test the joists. I didn't open it. I took one breath, long, square. 4 in, 4 hold, 4 out, then another. Kelsey pinged my texts. You're trespassing on video. We will call police. Me. The sidewalk is public. The HOA president witnessed my sentence. Kelsey, you're scaring me. Me. Then stop filming and file documents. 3 dots pulsed. Stopped. A new message slid in from a number I didn't recognize. Mr. Ellison, the quiet neighbor who waters at dusk and never waves too long. Ellison. I think I have the full dinner clip from the other night. I'll confirm tomorrow morning. I stared at the line until the letters lost their shape and turned back into a promise. I didn't reply. If they shout tonight, I'll let the morning stamp them quiet. I put the phone face down, the key and hammer side by side like tools waiting their turn, and let the house be still. Evening put a brown edge on the river. I ate standing at the counter, fork in one hand, phone in the other. Not because I needed the screen, because I needed to know what not to answer. A ping. A friend I trust forwarded a Jim story, reel, split screen, me on the sidewalk yesterday, Kelsey's caption pasted over it. Trespass, Grandpa. The reel chirped once through the speaker before I found the mute. I texted Victor. Reel making rounds. Victor. Ignore. Clerk controls reality tomorrow. Me. Ignoring. My thumb hovered over the neighborhood app. I didn't open it. I let the urge cool like metal away from flame. Another buzz. The bank app badge lit when I opened it to shut notifications off. Verification in review. A yellow dot where I wanted blank air. I called Victor. Badge showed up. Seen it, he said. Neutral still holds funds. The recorder window settles it. Force quit the app and don't open it again tonight. Copy. I killed the app. The haptic thud felt like slamming a cabinet in an empty house. The kitchen clock ticked in the quiet. I put the key and the hammer on the table between my elbows. They looked like 2 old men waiting for their names. Let them spend the night on noise. I'll spend mine on time. The phone whooshed with a message from Maya. Civil standby confirmed. Meet North Curb by mailbox at 11 a.m. Officer number 2347 on duty. Bring your folder. Keep voice low. Me. Received. Thank you. Maya. Radio silence on the feed, please. See you then. I pinned the thread and silenced alerts. A new text, Travis. Stay away from the house tomorrow. Last warning. Me. Tomorrow has witnesses. Travis. You'll be sorry. Me. Deadlines don't blink. 3 dots. Nothing. I washed the plate, set it in the rack, dried the table and slid the key and hammer into the top drawer. The slide rails whispered, and the click sounded like a choice closing. The duplex settled around me. Somewhere downriver, a train blew 2 notes and changed its mind. I walked the hallway once, checked the folder on the chair by the door. Receipts, Whitaker, escrow, T0 sticky tab waiting to earn its name. I didn't open it. I didn't need paper to breathe for me tonight. I set 2 alarms with my thumb. Civil standby, 11 a.m. And recorder, 11:30 a.m. Tiles went white. I turned the phone over so the glass looked at the wood. The screen lit one more time with a door cam ping from down the block. Just a chime, the porch glow catching a moth. I let it fade without a swipe. Morning found me at the counter with black coffee and no appetite. The badge on the lock screen said, Today, recorder, 11:30 a.m. The alarms waited like 2 steady hands. Travis tried one last text at 7:52. Don't do this. I typed, see you at the curb, and didn't send it. I deleted the draft and put the phone face down. I opened the drawer, looked at the key and hammer, both patient, both unemployed, and closed it again. The house listened with me. The first alarm went off like a small bell at 11 o'clock. I slid the drawer open, took out the key and the hammer, and left the hammer inside. The key felt like a past tense. I pocketed it and walked to the curb. Maya stood by the mailbox with a clipboard, and a calm that didn't waver. The officer checked his watch and wrote the time on a notepad the way people do when they know someone will ask. "Civil standby begins," he said. 11 a.m. "North curb," Maya said, "as planned." Realtor Dana stepped out of her car with a tablet tucked like a menu. The locksmith lifted a case that clinked softly with new cylinders. Kelsey spotted us first from the window. The camera on the porch blinked awake like an eye. Travis came out fast, jaw hard, forearms flexed for an audience that hadn't chosen him. "You can't just show up," he said. "We're here to keep peace," the officer said even. "No one is entering yet." Dana glanced at me. I nodded once. She tapped her tablet and made a path up the walk. On the porch, she paused. The officer took a half step forward where both cameras could see him. "We'll wait for recorder confirmation," Dana said. "Then proceed." Travis laughed sharp. "There won't be one." My second alarm hummed a reminder. Recorder, 11:30 a.m. Time, like habit, does not argue. Mr. Ellison appeared at the property line with his phone. He didn't wave. He just held it up until Maya noticed. "You have something?" Maya asked. "I think so," he said. "Dinner. Full clip," he airdropped. Her phone accepted. Kelsey rushed out, breathless. "You can't do this. We have signed papers." Maya kept her eyes on her screen. "If you have valid filings, bring them to the board," she said. In the meantime, the first sound from Maya's phone was a chair scraping, then the room of their dining table, and my voice, measured. "I'm not here to fight." Then the slaps, counted by silence. 1, 2, 3. The eighth landed and someone in the small crowd inhaled like they'd forgotten how. 19, 20. Kelsey's face drained. "That's edited," she said thin. "It's the full clip," Mr. Ellison said quietly. "My ring sees their window. Timestamps intact." Travis took one step at me. The officer put a flat palm to the air, not touching anything, and the step stopped. "Let's keep this civil," he said. "We're here to note and witness." Dana's tablet pinged. She looked down, then angled the screen so it caught the porch light. The line was clean as new joists. "Warranty deed recorded, 11:27 a.m. She read it aloud. "Recorder confirms. Control has transferred." The locksmith set his case down, pulled out a new cylinder, and began the swap. "Old cylinder out," he said for the log. He turned a tiny screw, caught the spent cylinder in his palm, and dropped it into a bag. Serial logged. Kelsey's mouth worked for a word, then chose a scream. "You can't take our house." Dana kept her voice at realtor volume. "No one is entering right now," she said. "We're changing locks under civil standby to secure the property for the new owner." "Who?" Travis said. Dana kept her eyes on the tablet. "Authorized party," she said. "You will receive notice through counsel." He looked at me. "You did this." I looked at the officer. "Please note the time," I said. He wrote, 11:29. Neighbors drifted to the walkway in their weekday clothes. 2 moms with strollers, Harold with his cane, a teenager pretending not to film. The full dinner clip kept playing on phones as it leaped from Maya's post to the group. A neighbor murmured, "He counted 20. Kelsey turned on me, smaller now that the crowd belonged to gravity. "Say something," she said. "Say you won't go through with it." Silence can be a tool if you hold it steady. I held it. Travis tried one more rock at the tide. "We'll get a TRO, Will." Dana didn't look up. "Recorder has recorded," she said. "A TRO can't unring this bell." The locksmith tested the new key, then handed it to Dana for the file. He offered me the spent cylinder in a clear bag. I didn't take it. "Give it to the file," I said. Maya lifted her phone. "Post up," she said to no one in particular. Her caption was a sentence as plain as bread. "Full forum of facts below. Deed recorded. Civil standby complete." She didn't add a hashtag. She didn't need to. Kelsey tried to pull Travis back, but he shrugged her hand off like a jacket he couldn't afford. He looked from the officer to Dana to the locksmith to me, and whatever he'd been holding in his chest gave out. "Dad," he said. The words sounded like a man finding out gravity works. Dad, I'm sorry. The crowd heard it. The officer heard it. The porch heard it. I kept my voice for the page. Please note the time, I said to the officer. He wrote, 11:33. I took the key from my pocket and set it on the porch rail. That one doesn't belong to me, I said. Not anymore. Travis reached for it like the past could be picked up. His hand stopped halfway. Kelsey's video hung slack at her side. She looked at Maya's screen, and then at me, and then at her shoes, like the floor had become honest. I turned to Travis and gave him the only sentence that matched a day with stamps in it. Finish the program, I said, then we talk. He nodded once, down, then up, like an apology learning to walk. Dana closed her tablet. The officer clipped his pen back to his pocket. The locksmith zipped his case. I stepped off the porch without the key and without a word to the camera. The house behind me felt like a room I had already left. The porch emptied the way storms do, slow and then all at once. The officer clicked his pen, checked his notes, and nodded to Dana. Civil standby concluded at 11:40, he said. No further action. Parties dispersed. Turnover completed, Dana said. Not to me, but to the air that keeps records honest. I'll notify counsel. She tucked the tablet away like it might rest now. Maya stood at the curb with that same clipboard, already writing. City notices stand, she said. HOA will pin a factual summary. Compliance window for the garage and deck is 14 days. Traffic and after-hours rules enforced immediately. Kelsey tried a last face-saver. Will appeal. Maya's tone didn't change. Process is published on the site. File forms. Screenshots won't be considered. The locksmith zipped his case. The new lock caught the light and didn't say anything about the old one. I breathed, slow and square. Travis stared at the porch like it might apologize. When he finally turned, the heat in him had lowered a few degrees. Dad, he said, quieter than the lawn. Just tonight, he swallowed. Just somewhere until I figure, this. I let the silence sit between us long enough to feel like it had bones. Finish the program, I said. Then we talk. Until then, no contact, except through your counselor. His jaw worked. He nodded once. It landed heavy and stayed. Kelsey shifted, looking for a line that made sense of the day. We didn't mean, she caught herself. We'll handle the repairs. Coordinate with the inspector, Maya said, not the feed. The officer tipped his hat, an actual habit in a modern uniform, and spoke half to them, half to the neighborhood. That's the path. I stepped back to the sidewalk. The key I'd left on the rail stayed where it lay. It was not mine to carry. Mr. Whitaker, Dana said, you're good to go. Thank you, I said. Neighbors peeled away, a few with their eyes on their shoes, a few with their faces set to neutral. Mr. Ellison gave me the smallest nod a man can give, and still call it a nod. It was enough. By mid-afternoon, the duplex had its afternoon quiet again. I set the folder on the kitchen table without opening it. Through the window, the river scuffed light at the bank, and the bank scuffed it back. I opened the drawer, looked at the key hook, empty and honest, and closed it. The hammer came off the wall long enough to wipe dust from the handle. I rehung it above the stove where it had lived before this month tried to tell me who I was. Peace feels like work finished, not luck found. The phone buzzed on the counter. Maya had pinned the summary. Deed recorded /citations pending compliance /forum clip full context posted. Board communications by email only, no emojis. No victory lap, just the map. Travis, I'll text when I find a counselor. I typed, have them send the schedule. After that, we'll set a time with Pastor Ray present. Until then, no contact. I hit send and turned the phone face down. Kelsey's name floated at the top of a new thread, then disappeared. If she wrote, she thought better of it. The officer's final text arrived a minute later through a system number. Civil standby complete. No incident report required. I didn't reply. Some acknowledgments belonged to silence. I made coffee I didn't need and watched the kettle not boil faster for my looking. Across the room, the laptop rested on the HOA page where the pinned post lived. I read the top line once, let it say exactly what it said, and turned the screen off without scrolling. Evening leaned against the window. I checked the drawer again, not because I doubted it, because men who build things trust but verify. The key hook was still empty. The hammer hung straight. On the table, the folder waited to be filed the way finished jobs wait for their shelf. I slid it into the cabinet beside old tax years and a yellow pad with pencil marks that only make sense to me. From down the block, someone's lawn sprinkler ticked through an arc. Somewhere, a dog collar chimed against a bowl. The house found its regular sounds and held them. The phone vibrated once more. Maya again, shorter this time. Compliance clock starts tomorrow. I'll handle thread moderation. Get some rest. Me. Appreciated. Keep it all in email. She sent a thumbs up that didn't feel cheap. I washed the coffee cup, set it on the rack, and wiped the counter in one long pass. The motion felt like finishing a cut clean. No splinters, no chatter. Before I turned off the kitchen light, I looked once more at the wall. Hammer straight, hook empty. The day had its end. The record would keep its own company. Screens go dark. The record stays. I didn't win by shouting. I won by letting paper speak. Patience turned 20 slaps into a line the record could follow, and the house stopped being a weapon. I keep my distance, keep my word, and let the board handle what boards handle. In my kitchen, I closed the drawer on the empty key hook. One quiet click. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment your thoughts below. Type 1 if you resonate with this story.